Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is your favorite warlock, necromancer, and practicing black arts practitioner. And today, or I should say tonight, I want to bring you to something to your attention that I've been getting a lot of requests on. A lot of people have been coming to me and inquiring about finances. Who should I call? What spirits should I work with that will help bring finances and financial gain and prosperity to me and my families? But at the same time, that same question comes in about protection. So I thought I'd take a few minutes and kind of just detail this for you. When it comes to finances, I would recommend going to first, if you are a practitioner or lining yourself with demonic hordes, I would recommend Lucifer's Raphael to you. The reason for that is many of the grimoires, such as the Grand Grimoire, the True Grimoire, Grimoire Red Dragon, they all speak to Lucifer's Raphael being summoned, and he will take you into places where you can find and gather handfuls of coins, treasures that were buried in the earth. Okay? This is during the initiation process. But outside of that, my what I tell my apprentices is if you really want to get into demonolatry, go with Bune, the great Duke. Okay? He is capable of bringing you any amount of treasure that you need, hidden in the earth, under the sea, you name it. The thing is that you want to be specific. Let's say, for an example, you are inquiring about a new vehicle. You consider I just bought a new car myself, and I have to, I financed it through the bank, so I don't know the dealer anything. So what I would do is I would inquire and petition Boone, say, hey, I need $19,000. Okay, but let's say, for an example, the bank's willing to pay for most of it. You just have to pay the bank back, but they require you to put down, let's say, 1,700. Okay, so you petition Boone. Okay, I need 1,700 for this car that will benefit me and my family, but at the same time, it will help me further the cause of Satanism and demonolatry and to put your works out there. Okay. So you would do the ritual, you would give your offerings, your acts of omission, the libations, the whole kit caboodle, make it a ceremonial evocation. You put the request through, you burn it, you send it there. You've begun working with this spirit, so you want to make a pact. You want to make a blood pact with this spirit. This forms an allegiance and it makes you brethren, basically. That is the most simplistic meaning right there. Is blood sorcery has been initiated, which makes you brethren. In war, when two warriors cut their hands and they mix their blood together, this creates what is known as a blood bond. Okay? It is a link that links you to that other person as a brother. It does not matter if you're working with a female spirit or a male spirit. You are still kin to that spirit. Okay? Same thing in warfare, same thing with friends on the battlefield of, say, basketball or soccer. If you are a member of a team, guess what? That's a link, and it's a legal, justified bond. It is called a soul bonding. So I would recommend doing a blood pact with Boone. Okay, I would recommend working with him, getting to know his essence, getting to know him in general. And once you've gotten a fair understanding about his temperament, his being able to identify his current, his essence, his aura, then petition him for that amount of money. Okay, you can just come out and do the whole petitioning right up front, but I would still recommend forming that the foundation of that relationship with him. Secondly, like anything, you want to have protection. Okay, this is the other half of this. Viney is known as Satan's inquisitor, basically. King Viney is one of those members of an elite group of the nine kings of the Goetia. This particular spirit is a possessor of one's enemies. Okay, they a protector and a guardian of anything to do with Satan's disciples, anything to do with those who are on the left hand path. Okay, very very good spirit to have in your corner. Again, form the relationship, perform the blood rite. Okay, give proper libations and omissions. This will benefit you. I do this stuff on a daily basis. I light candles, I work with them, with these spirits, and I bring to them the finest of things. I mix vodka and fireball together, and it makes a nice, sweet little, how should I say this? A libation that is very, very smooth. Okay? It's very sweet, fruity type smell that the spirits that I work with love. Okay? It's a great little offering, okay, for them to drink and to enjoy. I would recommend also having a drink with them sometime. Okay? It benefits you, it cleanses your mouth so your words are pure and honest. It's like washing your hands before you go in. Same exact thing. Shows respect, it shows integrity and honor, and that you're willing to play ball. Okay? To learn and to grow underneath their tutelage as well. You're not in it for something quick and then just disappear. You're there to learn from them. You're there to be protected by them and they're willing to help you and to guide you. Knowing the spirits that you work with and their history will help you forge that relationship because you are the conduit that they need to latch onto to come into this world. Okay? So, one of the things that I want to tell you is that knowing a spirit's name, the true name, the true, spelling of it, take it back to the beginning, as far back as you can. A lot of times you're going to go back to the 13th, 14th century. Okay. Other times you're going to be able to trace them back to ancient cultures such as Sumar, Babylonia, Acadia. Um, let's go with the ancient Mesopotamian cultures. Okay. Trust me when I tell you, if you look at King Belial, a lot of times he's seen as an angel, a king, one of the greatest demons that's out there, with like 63,000, thousand followers underneath his belt. You know, in some cases he's aligned with Satan, other times he's viewed as a servant of Satan. Okay, but if you actually get into his name, you see where the sons and daughters of Belial are mentioned in the Bible. You see where, if you go back into ancient Sanskrit, You're going to go into the Grand Grim, not the Grand Grimoire, but the Dead Sea Scrolls, the scroll of Amrin, and you'll see where he's the ruler of the world. He's basically the ruler of the sons and daughters of darkness. Okay, and other times you'll see him as Belial, Belial, Belial. Okay, either way, trace the names back. Okay, it's always good to have connections with these spirits. Viney is perhaps one of the greatest protectors out there. Okay, and I would also recommend getting in touch with Astaroth. Okay, because when it comes to protection, you want to have offensive magic as well. So, with Astaroth being a Grand Duke, one of the third in command of the underworld, it's interesting because of what Astaroth represents: laziness, sloth, okay, and seduction, okay. So, when you put this towards an enemy, let's say, for an example, a target, okay, you can use the seal of Astaroth for added benefits when it comes to guarding your treasures. I think about it, even in the books Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John of the Bible says to put your treasures in heaven, where they won't get stolen, where they won't get corrupted or corroded. Okay, whereas if you keep them here on Earth, guess what? You're going to lose them eventually. Okay, but here's the kicker: when you're talking about occultism, when you're talking about spiritual endeavors, richness in this case, you want to trust the spirits. You want to forge those protective seals, enchant them. I recommend dark totems. I recommend phylacteries to you. You know, I recommend some form of entrapment. You know, I look back when I was in my youth. I used to play a card game that my nephew was into, and it was called Yu-Gi-Oh! For those of you who know what I'm talking about, you know the game. So basically, the name of the game is to have offensive and defensive strategies. But most importantly, you want to have traps and reversals. Okay? So you want to have seals, glyphs, hieroglyphs, something that in the magical community would ward off, you know, thieves and enemies of the state that would try to harm you, to try to limit your movements. If we look at the JCI, they were renowned for eliminating much of that threat through illegal activity. Okay? They always started off as your friend. History has shown this is not true. They are nobody's friend. They are a hostile force, hell bent on destruction of anything not being of their God. Okay? Or in today's world, their church, their congregation, which would leave you without friends, without finances, without a community. So, occultists from ancient Egyptian all the way up into Middle Eastern and European countries, world over even, used phylacteries. They used runes, magical alphabets. They used a lot of different things that, like amulets and talismans, to ward off negative people, to ward off hostile people. But they would leave some form of a spiritual and supernatural trap that would cause, say, cardiac arrest, blindness, deafness, severe agony that would protect the area in question. So let's say, for an example, you have a firebox. We've all got one. You put all your most valuable of valuables in there. Let's say a GPS, your money, okay, your bonds and stocks. You put all these in this box, in this safe. But before you do, you add in these seals, these reversals, these warnings, these traps, and you close it up. In some cases, you can literally make it an accursed object out of this safe, out of this firebox. So if anybody tries to break into that firebox without your permission or without your knowing, you'll probably come home and find them dead on the floor. You'll probably find them trying to feel around because they can't see. You see, it comes down to your intent. Wiccans and pagans, they don't have the stones to eliminate a target or an enemy. A black magician, a sorcerer, a warlock, Bokor, a Miramberos, these are practitioners that have the stones to do what is necessary. For an example, when it comes to rituals, I find it interesting how it is the Christians who condemn you for that very action, but yet they themselves are so much of hypocrites that they will come to you and ask you to perform these rites so they don't get their hands dirty. You see the point. They condemn and bless you at the same fucking time, depending on their need. So you got to know the spirits that you're working with. You're going to need to know the tools of the trade. I recommend personally that if you're going to do something like this, I would recommend utilizing spirits there that can bring you the finances, to bring you the items that you're requesting from them, but also looking to defend that stature once you receive it. You want to bless and consecrate it. You want to mark it like a dog marking its territory or a cat marking its human by urinating on it, taking a crap somewhere or whatever. You see my point. You want to consecrate it. Therefore, utilizing a protective shield, maybe even writing or drawing the seals themselves in the location or even on the item, depending on what it is. In this case, a lot of the individuals who have come to me have wanted to know about gaining money. They've wanted to know, well, how do I want riches and fame? I want popularity. I want this. I need that. But to get this, you must also sacrifice. To do what you're requiring or what you are desiring to do, you really need to sit down and go, okay, to live comfortably, I need such and such amount of money per month, per week even. Because some people like to pay per week, you know, per diem, if you will. If you're a part-time employee, well, guess what? You don't get benefits like health and dental and all that stuff. But if you're full-time, you're able to buy in. Same exact thing. Okay? Same exact thing, ladies and gentlemen. You want to be able to buy into that current. So again, look at the currents that you're going into. Don't corrupt them, don't water them down. Utilize them at their purest state, plain and simple. But always look at it as offensive and defensive magics. You want to get it, but you all from these spirits, but you also want to have protection. All right, those I would recommend getting into these spirits. I would also recommend furthering your education. So I would recommend Humod or Humet, the Infernal Librarian, who can bring you the knowledge on how to do these. Okay, a lot of people that come to me, they don't want to do the work, but they don't have an understanding of it, and yet they call themselves black magicians. They call themselves warlocks or bruos. Okay, they don't have that knowledge or that understanding to perform these rites and rituals. So if you don't have these things, then petition somebody who does. You can go to a botanica. You can go to the Peristol. You can go to a Satanist or a black magician, a necromancer, a shaman, and pay them to do it for you. You can also trade something of equal value if you don't have the money. A lot of people who do this type of work, they've forgotten the old ways. They have forgotten the old ways. And trust me, the spirits get pissed every time this happens. As they're so blind and arrogant that they don't pay attention to the very creeds that they follow. Forgetfulness of past orthodoxies is the term. They forget that in the old days, if somebody could not pay currency, they would trade fish and fur for that service. Today, there are practitioners out there that would be willing to trade a spell or two, or even a ritual, in exchange for, say, a human skull or that of an occult object that has power, okay, that you yourself has worked with for a long time. It's a way of commerce that will benefit both of you. Not everybody can afford $1,000. Not everybody can afford a $200-300 bill for a rite to be performed. Therefore, look into alternative measures such as bartering. Let's say trade of equal how should I say this, equal value. All right, but always keep the spirits in mind because they are the ones that are teaching you, guiding you, and literally and figuratively working behind the scenes, trying to give you what you needed. Okay? Hannibal, welcome to the channel. So, yeah, I would recommend this to you. The two main spirits that I would recommend would be Viney and Boone. King Viney and Duke Boone. Two of the best spirits I've ever worked with. Okay? And trust me, anytime I've needed money, I've always put a little care package together. Carried it on me. You can get into herbalism. Trust me, there are things that you can do there with a gris, you know, that will benefit you. I've shared knowledge to fellow practitioners who have done this and come back and said, "Man, I just tripled my quota for the quarter with that little care package that you gave me." It works. This is why people come to us. But it's there, okay? So look into all this stuff. Don't be afraid to step out into other sources such as, let's go with grimoire traditions. Let's go with Hermetics, even Kabbalah. Get into Voodoo or African Caribbean traditions. See how they handle things. They have different names, different um, techniques, but in the long run, it's going to benefit you, especially if you work and trust in those spirits that you're working with. All right. So have a good night. I hope this has been enlightening, educational, and I hope you learned something. More so, more so, whatever you preach, always back it up with numerous sources and always make yourself available to the public because you are responsible for what you say and do. Okay? Yes, you answer to the spirits, but you also answer to the people. That's why you are the ambassador, the intermediary between the living and the dead. All right? You welcome, Hannibal. And again, have a good night. All right?